أقرب إليه منكم ولكن لا تبصرون.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله. I did. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته.
Welcome back after a 2-week break to another episode of Tomorrow's Voice. Thank you very much for joining us this week. I'm your host for this week, Abdul-Roqeeb Salman, and I have two wonderful brothers joining me. The OG, the original team, alhamdulillah, the co-host.
He's the OG, yeah.
What about you?
He's the OG. I'm just a guest every once in a while. Alhamdulillah.
We have brother Zakariya and brother Malik. Assalamu alaikum to you both.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
First of all, we apologize for starting late, but we just prayed our Salat al-Maghrib.
We apologize. Why are we apologizing? We're praying Salat al-Maghrib.
Nothing to apologize for.
I have just been told to strike that. We do not apologize for being late.
We take back the apology. There was no need for apology.
We do not apologize. We were doing a business much more important than this, which is
as
conversing.
you should have as well. If you're here and you haven't prayed Maghrib, go away.
Then switch off the show, yeah.
Go pray your Maghrib, then come here. Otherwise, there's no point.
Yeah. This
Bro really said, what did he say? You're not meant to be here. Just she. But no, we were just conversing with our creator, and now that we're finished, we've got our attention here. So let's not dally for too long because we don't have as much time as we usually do. What is today's episode? Today's episode is New Year, same me, I believe. If you didn't know, I'm a bit unprepared because these two brothers just lobbed me into the position of host. I was unplanned.
You should take self-accountability. I think that's another key lesson.
Yeah, for the new year, I think your resolution is to just take more accountability. You know, it's not good to always throw blame out. Sometimes it's about self-reflection. You know what I'm saying? So you could learn something from the show today, inshallah.
So I personally would say that it's my fault, and you two brothers are innocent.
Yeah, and I would personally say it's Abdul-Rakeeb's fault, and we are innocent as well. Alhamdulillah.
Of course.
Alhamdulillah.
Thank you very much for that diversion there. I think we weren't very prepared for this week, so we're going to take things a bit light this week, inshallah, and we'll be back next week stronger, inshallah. So the title is New Year, but Same Me. And there's a reason why we chose that. Obviously, we've just celebrated, if you celebrated the New Year, some celebrated the New Year. And you know, that's the new year in terms of obviously the Gregorian calendar. It's not the new year in terms of the Islamic calendar. We're like towards the end of the year. But, you know, many people have this concept, this principle of new year, new me. You know, new year, fresh start, start again, reset from zero. You know, you've pressed the stop button, the restart button, and you're going to try all over again. But obviously, I think if you're aware and if you're, you know, smart enough, you do know that it's very easy to say it, but it's very difficult to enact it, and it's very difficult to actually engage that. You know, many people, they say, oh, in the new year, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I've made a New Year's resolution. And the most common one is, I'm going to go to the gym, I'm going to do this, I'm going to just go at it and whatnot. And I'm pretty sure it's like there's studies out there in which people at the start of the year, you know, you see gym attendees skyrocket.
Market's booming. Many new subscriptions began it up.
A month or two later, where did they all go? Yeah. It's like you see these memes between like frequent gym goers. They're like, oh, all of a sudden, lots of people in the new year. 2 months later, the team's quiet again. You know, it's very difficult. People think, you know, you can make a habit quite easily, but it is very difficult. And if you allow me, psychology, you know, it takes a while. It takes a while for you to actually develop a habit. You know, psychologically, you know, sometimes you forget, sometimes, you know, you're tired, you're like, do I have to do this? But we decided to dedicate the show today for this topic because new year, but instead of new you, we're going same me. Now, just because you're the same, that doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad thing. But also, you shouldn't necessarily say New Year, New Me on the 1st of January. No.
It shouldn't be a yearly thing. It should, especially as Muslims, it should not be like a yearly thing, because even in our tradition, we don't have this, concept of, a New Year celebration, even for our own months, right? So I think for Muslims, if you want to take this concept of New Year, New Me, we should
New
be,
Day, New Me.
yeah, evaluating ourselves, not just on a yearly basis, right?
That's too
Because
long.
most of the
That's too
times,
long.
towards the end months, like, it's December. Let me just, while out and do whatnot. In January, I'm gonna be fresh. I'm gonna be changing and stuff like that. We shouldn't have that mindset,
I
right?
feel like some people want that excuse. During
course.
December, they're like, "Oh, it's the last few months. I'm gonna start not tomorrow, but January the 1st." They want that excuse. They want that that way of basically almost what's the word? Almost what's the word I'm looking for?
Like validifying themselves. Does that make sense?
Yeah, almost
Seeking validation, basically.
almost validating it. Just before we continue, Brother Akil has blessed us with a comment. Assalamu alaikum, Brother Akil. Always a pleasure. First of all, he said, "Salam, great topic, gents. We always appreciate it." And Malik, spot on. It's spot on. What you've just.
Oh, alhamdulillah.
Wait. Why were you worried? Brother Akil, you made him
I
worry.
was in trouble.
You were.
I
Oh
was
no.
gonna say I look too good on the cameras or something. Sorry.
Alhamdulillah. That's also true, but continue, please.
Sorry.
Inshallah.
So he said Malik is spot on. You're quite right. People want to validate the reason why they're lazy, the reason why they're not doing anything. I will start in the new year. First and foremost, what guarantee do we have that we'll see the new year?
Exactly.
What guarantee? We don't have any guarantee. That's why we have to focus on the present. That's why it's a gift. We have to focus on the present. We have to do the best we can today, because today is all we know. Like, this moment is all we know. 30 minutes from now, 10 minutes from now, we don't know when death or when illness or when something will strike us. So we have to constantly be aware that my time is limited. My time is limited. I'm not going to wait until tomorrow to do something. Let's do it today, inshallah. Let's do it today. I remember our teacher, our collective teacher, he shared, I was speaking to him, yes, the best time to do something, he said, I'm pretty sure it's a common phrase, but he told me, the best time to do something is yesterday. The best time to do something is yesterday, but you can't do it because you've missed it. Therefore, the next best time is today,
Right now.
and the worst time is tomorrow. You don't have guarantee of tomorrow. Who says we are guaranteed by Allah Subhanahu wa Taala that we'll do that action tomorrow? So the best time we have is now. MashaAllah. But Akil, you're being too nice to him.
Bring on.
Please
said,
narrate the comment for us, inshallah.
He
I
said,
need to hear this, please.
he said, please. He said, MashaAllah, of course he looks fabulous. But no, so the only time we have is today. That's all we have. Therefore, we should use and we should fill our day, our current day, with as much goodness, as much dhikr as we can.
And if we notice any bad habits that we have, anything as we want to change, to better ourselves, we should start now. So as soon as you realize that, for example, I don't know, let's say Jumu'ah, for example, just ended, and you realize, you reflect back on Jumu'ah and you think, I didn't send as much salawat on the Prophet. So instead of saying, next Friday I'm going to do this, start then. Start on the Saturday.
It's too late. It's
exactly.
too late
Start
then.
on the Saturday. Just do, even if it's one start. As long as it's every time you reflect upon, okay, what did I do yesterday? Try do more, right? If you can't do more than what you did yesterday in terms of goodness and stuff like that, then at least be the same. Don't do less, right? So when it comes to this year, if you reflect on a yearly basis, you're like, okay, this year I only gave like less than 100 in charity. I only did this and I did this. Set a target for yourself that this year I'm going to go above and beyond that. Right? You shouldn't just think, leave it to the side and then the next year you're the same or even worse, right? Because then you're wasting your time, basically. You're not bettering yourself. As Muslims, we should always be striving to better ourselves.
I mean, definitely. Did you want to say something?
I was going to say, without that target that you set, you're just going to drift. If you have no clear goal, no clear ambition to get somewhere, then, like they say, if you're not failing to plan is planning to fail. So, these resolutions, obviously, usually I think I'm quite skeptical, and I think that people are never going to stick to them, and they get attached to this idea of, it's a new year, so I'm going to be able to change everything in my life and all this, but it never really happens. But there is some boost, psychological boost, as maybe you can expand on a bit more, from this idea of a new year, which makes people feel a bit more motivated for a bit.
I was going to mention that. There is this concept in our religion of Islam, take the good and leave the bad. So this new year, new me principle, there is a bit of goodness in that, which is, it is a fresh start. People like to, start from zero. They think, maybe I've had a really terrible year, but this year is going to be my year. So it does help you, to get in that frame of mind. It's a clean slate. And inshallah, we'll discuss that in more detail after the break, because the break is coming up. But thank you very much for joining us. We've just discussed the concept of New Year, New Me. Right now, we're making an argument in a case that it should be New Year, same me. Because the same you that you are yesterday should be the same you in terms of, you're constantly reminding yourself to do good. You're not waiting for a whole year to start before you start becoming, a new person, a better person. So start now. Join us after the break, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi.
Stay tuned to Salam Radio after this short ad break.
Are you looking for a career where you can make a difference? At Cross Keys Homes, we work with our local communities to create opportunities that change lives. We're looking for enthusiastic, talented people to join our team, from apprenticeships to senior management positions. Cross Keys Homes can support your development while you enjoy great employee benefits. There are so many opportunities for you to shine. Apply to join the Cross Keys Homes team at crosskeyeshomes.co.uk.
Are you a savvy shopper searching for the best food deals? Look no further. Adams Cash and Carry can help you save big. We're not just a food wholesaler for takeaways and restaurants. We also welcome household customers at our warehouse in Westwood, Peterborough. Visit our website and enjoy wholesale prices on everything from drinks to flour, rice to burgers, and much more. To shop, go online and collect in store. Visit adamscashandcarry.co.uk today to start your savings spree.
2020 World Buffet is inspired by the best foods from around the world. See our teppanyaki chefs grill your food to order, or choose delicious Indian, Italian, Chinese, Mexican dishes and British favourites, all halal. 2020 World Buffet offers you unlimited food at a set price. Open 7 days for lunch and dinner. Catering, wedding and party services available too. Call 01733 566 320 or visit 2020buffet.co.uk. 2020 World Buffet, 35 New Road, Peterborough, PE1 1FJ.
Where can you get high quality and low prices? Amar Food Store and Halal Meat in Lincoln Road, Triangle is the place to go. Pay us a visit and take advantage of our special offers and great range of products on groceries, vegetables, fruits and halal meat. Also send money to Pakistan absolutely free. We have all top brands at special offers, offer free customer parking and provide a free local delivery service. Amar Food Store and Halal Meat, 613B Lincoln Road, Peterborough. Call us on 01733 687 374. High in quality, low in prices.
Worried your tenants could stop paying their rent during this cost of living crisis? Next Move Estate and Letting Agents are offering landlords 12 months rent in advance. You'll get your rent paid for the whole year in advance. No strings attached. Too good to be true? It really is that simple. So get in touch with us today for this extremely limited offer. Call Next Move now on 01733 641 642 to find out how we can help.
It's time to protect yourself against COVID-19 and flu. If you or a family member are eligible for a vaccine this winter, then you can book an appointment or find a walk-in clinic online. Just search for COVID and flu vaccines Peterborough. Even if you've had a COVID-19 or flu vaccine previously, whether it was just once or more often, it's still important to get and remain protected. So to find out more, simply search online for COVID and flu vaccines Peterborough.
You're listening to Peterborough's community radio, Salam Radio. Salam Radio. 106.2 FM.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يا أيها
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Welcome back to Salam Radio. I am your host for today, Abdul-Roqeeb Salman, and this is our show, Tomorrow's Voice. And with me we have our two co-hosts, Malik and Zakariya. Thank you very much for coming. And just before the break, we were discussing our topic for today, which is New Year, Same Me. And we were discussing, how people have this concept of, it's the new year, I'm going to start again, almost disregarding the past. The past is important. We know the past is important. So you learn what mistakes you made, 2023. Hopefully you don't repeat it in 2024. But, people really emphasize that, new year, new me, that sort of thing. But we were saying that you shouldn't have to wait until 31st of December, the clock going to 0000, and then all of a sudden you've changed into a new person. That's not how it works.
And the thing you were mentioning earlier about the fact that you gave an example of the gym and how the memberships go up so high at the start of the year. If we had the mindset of the new year, new me, but instead it was like a monthly thing, or instead of it was like a weekly thing. Then if, every start of the month, then you were encouraged to go to the gym and stuff like that, that would be way more beneficial if it was every week. Even if it's at the start of the week, then you're active in the gym and then at the end you die down. But then the same week, the next week, straight away, you go back in the gym and stuff like that. So rather than being a yearly thing where the benefit is nowhere to be found, if it's a weekly thing or even a monthly thing, there's much more benefit in that.
So instead of new year, new me, as Sheikh Malik is now given the fatwa, new
fatwa.
He was going, it should be new week, new me, new day, new me. That should be the concept, and which is what we ended up. We take the good in our religion. We've been said we can take the good and leave the bad. The concept of new and refreshing it's a good concept, but a year is too long. A year is too long.
Thing.
We need to be on it constantly. So new day, not a day should go by without you reviewing, reflecting how's today's gone. How can I better myself for tomorrow? I would even go so far as to say every second, every minute of your life, you should be constantly saying, how can I do better? But of course, that's very difficult. So set yourself a target. New day, new week, new month, for example. But a year is far too long. I heard a quote, I might misquote it, but it goes something like that. People, they overestimate what they can do in a year, but underestimate what they can do in a day or, within a smaller period of time. People, a year, I've got a year, I'm going to do so much. We overestimate. We generally overestimate because we think a year, a long period of time. But in a day, you're like, I won't do that in a day. So, perhaps let's start slowly. Let's start from a day. Let's start from a week. Let's start for a month and build it up from there. A year is just too long. So many things can happen within your year.
Zakariya, I think was saying this. It's about planning. Even if you had big goals and you're overestimating about a year, I mean, you should always, shoot for the moon and stuff.
Definitely.
But again, you shouldn't just plan for that whole year and just say, well, at the end of the year, I want to do this. Allah will provide the ways and just leave it at that. No, plan. Make a plan if it's a daily thing, if it's a weekly thing. Make a plan that inshallah, if I follow this, I will be close to the target instead of just leaving it and then, giving up in the middle of the month, realizing you haven't even started on the things that you wanted to do. So,
and I think it's very easy to get disheartened, because we're in that mindset that, okay, I'm going to be on it. Maybe you start going strong 3 days, 4 days, and then maybe one day you forget because it's a new routine or you slip up or you're tired. Then all of a sudden you feel like, what? On the fourth day I slipped up. Might as well just finish it. Pack my bags, done, gone, finished. No, we do slip. It is human error. It's human nature to forget. For you to be tired, that's fine. But most people then give up after that. Just the first hurdle. Lots of people after the first hurdle they just give up. But we have to persevere. You have to go over the hurdle. It might be difficult. Especially when you're in that mindset, you're like, I'm really going to do this every day. But you slip, no problem, inshallah. Pick yourself up and continue. Pick yourself up and continue.
Imagine how sort of bad we would be in our life if every time we came across some weakness in ourselves and we forgot to do something. You might, let's say you got to pick up your kids from school. On Monday, you pick them up. Tuesday, you might forget. Then you say, "Oh, I forgot on Tuesday." Now, what's the point getting on Wednesday? You're not gonna just leave them there, are you? It doesn't matter if you know, you might make a mistake, but if you let that get to you and you let it get it down, at the end of the day, we are all human. We have to remember that we have this sort of hope and aspiration that we do everything perfectly, and I think that's part of the reason why people start feeling really bad when they make a mistake. Maybe it's out of pride, maybe they feel like they shouldn't have done that, and it's not. They're too good to be making mistakes, but no one should ever feel like that.
And just a simple mistake should not derail the plans that you have. Let's say you really planned this, you organized it. Make room for those mistakes. It will happen. There will be days that you'll slip up, but that doesn't mean you should then just chuck the whole concept of trying to change for the better into the bin. No, you shouldn't. Take it step by step, take it day by day, and inshallah, Allah will, Allah sees that you're coming towards Him, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will make your path easier for you.
You should have like sincerity in what you're planning to do as well. You shouldn't just do it because, it's New Year, it's a ritual, you have to say,
It has become like a little ritual now. People genuinely, they're like, New Year, new me. You expect from 11:59 of 31st of December, of the end of the year to 12 midnight of the 1st of January to change. You can't change that much, but they're like, okay, my mindset's gonna be changed in a minute, in the span of a minute. No, it takes time for you to understand this. A friend of mine, on his WhatsApp status, he posted something beautiful, which I really, I was telling him, it's very true.
Thank you. Sorry, you weren't gonna name drop me. I apologize. Anonymous friend. Abdul-Roqeeb, friend.
A friend that is not currently in the studio.
There was no need for that.
I had to humble you.
Okay, Jazakallah. I needed that. Jazakallah.
As we were saying, before I was rudely interrupted. A friend of mine on his WhatsApp status, he mentioned something quite beautifully. He said, during the time after Christmas to the New Year, there's this state of laziness and, this state of stagnation that people experience. Because Christmas, for non-Muslims and for others, it's a big time of year, that sort of thing. So they have Christmas Eve, Christmas, then Boxing Day. After those 3 days, now you are like, oh, what am I doing with myself? And then the next big thing is, New Year's Eve or New Year's Day. So those 3, 4, 5 days in between, there's that state of stagnation. What are you doing
the
with
whole
yourself?
month, even in Islam, before Ramadan, in Rajab, the Prophet ﷺ, there's a hadith about this where he says, Rajab is the most neglected month because everybody has the mindset, Ramadan's coming up, so what do I do now?
I delay my good deeds until
Ramadan. Ramadan, I'm gonna go crazy. Just wait. When Ramadan comes, then
I'll be a whole new man.
Exactly, right? So that month, that period before it, instead of us preparing for it and building up to it,
really so those days before the New Year, people neglect it. People don't do anything. Use that time to actually start the change now. Change doesn't happen overnight. Change takes time to happen. So lead up to it. It won't just happen in the New Year. So that time between Boxing Day to the New Year, start developing these habits. Start trying out these things. Don't start from the 1st of January. That's too late. Start beforehand. And, I diverge a bit, but something to perhaps help others if you want to make a new habit is perhaps a better way of doing it is replacing another habit. Making a whole new habit might be a bit difficult, but if you're replacing it with a habit, you've already got an allocated time for the habit you used to do. You've, done it in the past. So just replace it with something different. You've already got the time allocated. Instead of your brain trying to go, oh, this is new, I have to remember this. You already have some old information. You've modified it a bit, and now you're trying to develop that new habit. So if you're doing something, you want to swap it out, or you want to do it for something else, then replace an old habit for something else instead of starting a whole new habit, which might be difficult for you. Just a little
100%
suggestion.
You should replace it even with like nothing. Right, if it's a bad habit, it's better for you to do nothing. As we said before, if you've got nothing to do and you fear you're gonna, fall into temptation, just go to sleep. Right. So whatever time you have for that habit, just knock out. Just say yourself.
Everyone likes sleeping, so
exactly.
That's universal advice.
That's the rest
of course, we don't just go. We're not saying every bad habit. Don't want to go into bad habit. Let's go to sleep. Then let's go to sleep.
I mean, technically, it is better, but you make an effort to make replace it with something good. But if you can't and it's difficult and whatever.
Then the most there's someone here who just gave us salam.
Wa alaikum assalam, bro.
Another point that you mentioned, sorry to cut you off. Another point you mentioned about
cut me off, just like that.
Whenever you try to do something good or something, and you have a setback or something, and then you get disheartened. You shouldn't be, right? And this is the point I was saying about earlier: to be sincere with the goals that you want to achieve, because if you sincerely believe in the goal, and if you put Allah in front of that, right? You're saying, this year or, this month or whatever it is, I'm going to better myself for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
For the sake of Allah.
So even when you have that setback, you should straight back into it. Like if you take an example, if you're gaming, for example, right? Some of us here like Overwatch and whatnot. So anyways, if you're playing a game, Clash Royale, you know what I'm saying? Fortnite for some of you.
What's he talking about?
For one of us.
Yeah, for one of us. I'm not mentioning names, man.
You clearly are giving some indications.
So when you lose a game, it could be FIFA, whatever it is, right? When you lose a game, you're always like, one more. Next win, then I'll stop. Next win, then I'll stop. You lose like 5 in a row, you still keep going because you are looking for that next win. So it should be the same when it comes to bettering ourselves, right? When you have a setback, no, keep trying. You have a setback, keep trying. And then you get that win, like, alhamdulillah, right? And then you move on from there. So it's about how much sincerity and how much you want the goal that you have, right? Instead of just being like, I failed, Allah didn't decree it.
I like the relatability you did there, relating it to something I think we can all understand. You're quite right. I think it's called the game paradox or something. It's basically this concept of always seeking out the next win. And then I diverge a bit, and then you get the win, and then you're like, oh, I've just started a win streak. Let's play one more. Let's keep going. And then it's this way of hooking you. But no, you're quite right. Even though you lose, most people still have that need to win. Therefore, yes, you have fallen. You have fallen at the first hurdle. There's no shame in that. We are human. Pick yourself up and continue. Some people, they are genuinely ashamed. Have I failed? Or they become self-critical. Self-criticism is good. In one sense. But some people are very harsh with themselves. How could you fall over the first step? It's only been 2 days. It's only been 3 days. Yeah, because you're not gonna become a Hafiz overnight if you want to become a Hafiz. If that's the goal for 2024, you're not gonna become this magically overnight. So you will trip. And that's what I'm saying. If you're planning this, allocate, that you will have that understanding that you will trip. Allah will make it easy for you. Have that sincerity, and Allah will open that path for you and will make it easy for you. But don't be afraid to fail. Don't be afraid to fail. You will fail.
And at the end of the day, it's not even about, you shouldn't measure it as, what have I achieved last year? What have I achieved? What am I going to achieve this year? It's what efforts have you exerted to achieve that? So you may put all your efforts more than the next guy, but the next guy achieves and you don't, because Allah hasn't decreed for you. So it's not, you shouldn't measure it, only solely on the goals and the achievements that you made, but the actual effort that you've put in, because that's in your control. The goals and achievements, that's not in your control. That's for Allah to give you, right? Whether it's good for you, He'll give you it. That's bad for you, He won't give you, right? So I think it's important that we look at the efforts instead. Like Prophet Nuh, right? Almost 1,000 years, spreading the deen, giving dawah. But at the end of the day, only a handful of people. Does that mean he failed, right? No, it's the efforts that he did, right? So I think we should less judge the year on the goals and the achievements, but instead it's the actual effort that we put in.
Yeah, I think that's an important point to raise, and that's something you see quite a lot across Islam. It's about intention. It's about effort that you put in, and you could go out and you could end up achieving less than someone else, for example. But if you're doing that thing with sincerity, you're doing it for the sake of Allah, and you never know your reward for doing something a lot smaller than someone else has done could be a lot greater than the reward that they're going to gain for it.
Very well said. And you just saying that about it's about the effort, not necessarily about what you achieve and what you accomplish, reminds me of a hadith of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This is to my best knowledge, so I might be mistaken. Please correct me if you know the hadith or comment. It was that the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam drew a line in the sand, and he said that this is where you are at the bottom, and this is where you want to go. Right at the end of the line, and he drew lines horizontal to that, and he said, within that, there are going to be fitna, there'll be temptations, there'll be, things that are trying to take you away from this straight path, from this deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, the end of the line is where you want to reach. That's where you want to reach. That's Jannah. But some people might not be able to reach that goal in their life. Some people might not be able to reach that goal, especially with the fitna that's disturbing you and that's trying to tempt you. But what matters is that you're on that path, you're on that journey, and you're making the effort to stay on that path. That's what matters. Allah by His will, because we don't go to Jannah because of the good that we do. It is really ultimately through the rahmah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is He who will eventually say yes or no. So make the effort, and inshallah Allah will reward you for the effort. It's not necessarily about what you achieve. If you can achieve it, brilliant, well done. Good for you. But even if you can't achieve it in 2024, you're making the effort. Carry that effort to 2025, carry it to 2026, keep going. It might take you, as I said, some people overestimate what they can do in a year. Maybe your goal can't take you a year. Maybe you need 3 years to do it. So just because you can't achieve it in that year, a year is a nice way of our brain just going, oh, it's a year.
Yeah, I can chill for now. Yeah,
exactly. A day, a week, a month. These solid span of time. It's quite nice. The brain's like, oh, a day, a month. I have a week. I have a year to do it. Like if I say I have 32 or 33 days to do it, to me that just sounds a bit weird. Maybe 2 weeks, 3 weeks. In like
small steps,
and in full sets. A day is a set, a month is a set, weeks is a set, a year. So our brain is like, okay, a year I can do that. So sometimes we overestimate what we can do in a year. So maybe the goal that you're trying to achieve for 2024 isn't just for 2024. Maybe it's all the way till 2026, 2030. So start now and make the effort to continue on this path. There will be fitna, there will be temptation, there will be hurdles, but the Muslim is not the one that just falls over the first hurdle and just go. Done.
That was a beautiful hadith. It reminds me of a very beautiful khatib that gave a khutbah to do with that hadith. MashaAllah. May Allah bless him and give him Jannatul Firdaus, inshallah, for him and his family, inshallah.
I don't know who this khatib is.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure who this khatib
is in this room. I'll tell you that. And
Zakariya, mashallah.
And it's not me and it's not Zakariya. So, but anyways, not to name drop him, but it's not too
you limit it considerably.
But it's a very beautiful hadith. It's a very beautiful hadith. Yeah, I just wanted to point out.
Oh, really? That was it.
I need the spotlight to be shouted.
What happened to Hamlin?
No, but I was gonna say to do.
I thought that was all in. I was gonna say why.
I needed that to marinate a little bit for the viewers to really clock in on what I just said. Yeah. Anyways, it was a very beautiful khatib, mashallah. Anyways. So I was saying to do with the efforts, right? We talked about goals and stuff, but at the end of the day, if you're a Muslim, you should know that your success is promised by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the one who never breaks his promises, right? So if you put in your effort, in your mind, whether you achieve the temporary dunya success that you have in mind or not, you're a successor. Allah is going to give you what He promised He's going to give you based on your efforts. And if you sincerely have put in the efforts, only you're going to know if you've done it sincerely or not. If you have genuinely done it sincerely, then for you there's no loss. Whether you get the temporary success, whether you get it, whether people appreciate it, they don't appreciate it, whether it was hard, easy, whatever it is, Allah at the end of the day never breaks His promise, and He's going to give you the reward. So whatever happens, just know in the back of your mind, your success is already guaranteed, right? So I think we should have that in mind.
Of course, your success is guaranteed based on the efforts that you're putting in.
Of course.
Yeah,
and it's not just about dunya. It's about we're ultimately working for the akhirah. That's what I'm saying. So whatever efforts you put in now, you don't see results, you don't see whatever. Don't be disheartened because the akhirah is waiting for you. It's all waiting for you. Everything you're doing is just, what's it called? Compounding up, accumulating. Exactly. So we should never give up.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. You reminded me, as we were preparing for the show, I think you asked...
I thought you were going to say I reminded you of the beautiful khutbah.
Oh, shush, man. You were saying?
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Good.
I'm joking. Alhamdulillah. You reminded me of a surah, Surah Al-Asr, and we can just ponder maybe a bit on the meaning of it. And when you said that, you've already won, your efforts have not gone to waste. This was a surah that was recited by the Sahaba to each other when they would depart from each other as a reminder. I'm going, but you got to just remember this. Keep this in mind that by time. I'll just go through the translation. Maybe if Malik, you want to recite Bismillah.
Why are you looking at me?
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر.
MashaAllah.
Alhamdulillah.
Trying to be humble.
That happens to be in the building.
Inshallah. So the first ayah, wal asr, was by time. So Allah here is swearing by time. So of course, when you want to say something important, you're going to swear by something, right?
Take an oath.
Sometimes, and Allah can take an oath by time. Obviously, time belongs to Him, so of course He can. Just a reminder, maybe, that we can't swear by anything but Allah. Obviously, people very often might swear by family members or anything like that. Indeed, mankind is in loss. So everyone is in loss, except for the ones that believe and do good deeds. So I think this point about that putting in the effort. So you can't just believe, as another religion might say, just your belief enough is to get your sins forgiven.
No.
And you're going to go into heaven. We pose questions to them. What if you do this bad thing or that bad thing, this evil or that evil? Are you still going to go to heaven, for example? And then, except for the ones that believe and do good deeds.
And enjoying good with each other as well, and speak the truth, that sort of thing.
And enjoying the truth, and what was the final?
Patience.
Yeah, so I think it links quite nicely because firstly, Allah has sworn by time. So when it comes to the new year, it's just like a measurement of time that we have. And we're trying to make sure that this year we're not going to waste our time like we did last year. If you think about the amount of hours you spent scrolling through TikTok or Instagram, and then, they say, I had some influencer or someone on YouTube say that, he used to scroll through TikTok and stuff a lot until someone asked him, what were the last 3 TikToks that you watched? Couldn't remember any of it. He spent these hours and hours and hours scrolling through, and you probably won't even remember 2 or 3 TikToks behind from where you were. So there's no, whether the knowledge is beneficial or not, that's another question, but the fact is you're not retaining anything anyway. So that's a complete waste of time. And as is highlighted in the surah, if you're believing and you're doing the good deeds together, inshallah, you'll be rewarded for those.
And I think it's quite nice that you said it's not just belief. In our religion, it's not, I believe and that's it. The minimum is, have iman, have belief. But you don't just stop at the minimum. We obviously have to go above and beyond, which is what we're saying. The minimum you can do is like, okay, I have a goal for 2024. Then push yourself a bit more. I'm going to plan how I'm going to go for 2024. Push a bit more. I'm going to make the effort, make the time, at 2 p.m. every Thursday, every Friday, I have to do this action and whatnot. It's going to take me this amount of time. Plan it.
And if something goes wrong, pick yourself back up.
Exactly. And then the next part is, if something goes wrong, you don't just leave it. And that's the problem. People sometimes want a reason to give up. If you know what I mean. They want a reason to give up. So they would
as people say, there's like a million reasons to say no. There's always a reason to not do something, right? But we should go above that.
I feel like perhaps it's because it's easier to give up and be lazy than actually, force it. It is. Your nafs is like, not today. Maybe tomorrow, inshallah. But then the problem is, if you leave it today, tomorrow, what are you going to say?
Tomorrow never comes. Tomorrow. It just keeps going. Tomorrow.
That's true. And then the day after, you're like, tomorrow. And then it keeps going. You keep pushing it back. So, to start summarizing, because we're running out of time now, New Year, same me. I'm still the same person currently, but that doesn't mean I don't have the potential for change. The only reason why we're saying same me is to kind of refute this concept of new year, new me. You're not going to start changing in the new year. Some people, they're disciplined and they can do that. They can.
Like our seeking of betterment is just constant.
It shouldn't be dependent on a new year. Let's say, that wouldn't make sense. But hypothetically, let's say there is no new year. Let's just say we started from day 1 and we're on day, 10 billion, 300, whatever. But what if there was no new year? You don't need a fixed time for you to start and enact change. The time for change is now.
Yesterday.
No, he's right. You got me. No, that's true. The time for change is yesterday. The time for change is yesterday. But you've missed that. You've missed that opportunity. Just like you missed out. You shouldn't now start wallowing and going, I missed it yesterday. Can't do anything today. No. So the next best time is today. Let's enact. Let's, spare ourselves. Let's encourage ourselves. New year. Same me currently, but I have that potential for change. And that change, those should have started yesterday. I've missed it, but that change will start now. Change will start now.
You don't want to be regretting it. They say when they ask people who are on their deathbed, or usually elderly people, they will say, what things, any advice, what are you thinking about right now? They say things like, I regret having done this. I regret having said this.
I regret not having done this enough as well.
Yeah, exactly. So you don't want to be in that situation. It's one of the worst feelings, having regret.
Well, Asr, observe your time. Observe your time. Time is very important.
So we thank you very much for joining us. We really do appreciate it. I was going to say apologies again, but we're not apologizing. We had to pray Maghrib. But inshallah, we'll be back next week, inshallah. Hopefully with a new face. With a new face, inshallah.
An old face, but maybe one that you haven't seen in this room.
An old face, a very, a man of high regards and high prestige.
New week, same face, inshallah.
Oh, no. Bro said New Year's, same face. Alhamdulillah. But no, inshallah, we'll be back for more topics, inshallah. Please stick with us in this new year. We, as well, we're not saying we're scholars, we're all learners, we're all studying ilm and studying Islam as best as we can. If we've made mistakes, forgive us for what we've said in the last year. This is a new year. This is a fresh start for us as well. And inshallah, we'll better ourselves. And until next time, we thank you for joining us. We'll see you next week, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.